Good morning, everyone. My name is Vince Gomez from Group 4, and we are here to present on Charles Darwin's Theory of Evolution. Thank you for joining me today. In this presentation, we will be discussing theory and concrete concepts of evolution, natural selection, and adaptation. By the end of this presentation, you will have a better understanding of evolution, natural selection, and adaptation. We have done extensive research on this topic, and I am excited to share my findings with you. We hope this presentation will be informative, engaging, thought-provoking. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to ask at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, let's get started. Who is Charles Darwin? Charles Darwin is born at February 12, 1809 and died at April 19, 1882. Was an English naturalist, geologist, and biologist, best known for his contribution to the science of evolution. He established by noting that all species of life descended from a common ancestor over time. He wrote in a joint publication with Alfred Russel Wallace that this pattern of evolutionary divergence suggests that the struggle for survival is similar. He published his scientific theory that the effect arose from a process he called natural selection, that of artificial selection in selective breeding. Darwin published his theory of evolution with compelling evidence in his 1859 book, The Origin of Species, overcoming scientific rejection of previous notions of species transformation. By the 1870s, much of the scientific community and public accepted the theory of evolution as fact. However, many support competing explanations, and it was not until the emergence of modern evolutionary synthesis from the 1930s to the 1950s that there was broad consensus that natural selection was the fundamental mechanism of evolution. So after learning the contributions of Charles Darwin in evolution, what is evolution? Evolution is the process of change over time that occurs in the characteristic of a population of living organisms. It is the process by which different species of living organisms have developed and diversified from their earlier forms over the course of many generations. The central idea of evolution is that all living things are descended from a common ancestor, that are over time, population of living organisms change in response to selected pressures in their environment. These changes can result in the development of new traits or the loss of existing traits. And over time, these changes can lead to the formation of new species. So after we define the meaning of evolution, we must tackle the theory of evolution. The theory of evolution is a scientific explanation for diversity of life on Earth. It proposes that all living things share a common ancestor and have evolved over time through a process of gradual change. The theory is based on a large body of scientific evidence, including studies of fossil, comparative anatomy, genetics, and biogeography. This theory of evolution is supported by many concrete concepts and examples, including the first one is fossil records. The fossil records provide evidence of the evolution of life on Earth. Fossils of extinct species shows how species have changed over time and how new species have emerged. Number 2. Comparative anatomy involves the study of similarities and difference between the structures of different organisms. Homologous structures such as bones in the forelimbs of mammals provide evidence of common ancestry. 3. Genetics provides evidence of evolutionary relationship between species. DNA and protein sequence can be compared between species to determine how closely related they are. Number 4. Natural selection. Natural selection is a mechanism of evolution that explains how species adapt to their environment over time. Traits that are beneficial for survival and reproduction become more common in a population, while traits that are detrimental become less common. 5. Artificial selection. Artificial selection is the process by which humans selectively breed plants and animals to produce desired traits. It provides evidence of the ability of natural selection to produce significant change in populations over time. These are other concepts and example provide strong evidence for the theory of evolution, which is widely accepted among scientists as the best explanation for the diversity of life on Earth. So after we finish discussing theory of evolution, now we must tackle natural selection. Natural selection is a mechanism of evolution that explains how species adapt to their environment over time. It is the process by which organisms with certain heritable traits are more likely to survive and reproduce than other organisms with other traits, resulting in the change in the characteristic of a population over time. The basic steps of natural selections are variation. Within a population, there is variation in heritable traits, such as size, color, or behavior. Number 2. Selection. Environmental factors such as predator, disease, or climate change affect the survival and reproduction of individuals with different traits. 3. Differential reproduction. Organisms with advantageous traits are more likely to survive and reproduce than those without them. Number 4. Inheritance. The advantageous traits are passed on to the next generation, increasing their frequency in the population. Over time, these steps leads to the evolution of new species with different characteristics. For example, a population of birds that live in a forest with different types of seed may evolve different beak shape that would allow them to efficiently extract different types of seeds. Natural selection is a key concept in biology and it's supported by a large body of evidence from genetics, biogeography, and other fields. It is important to note that natural selection is not a cautious process, but rather a result of the interaction between organisms and their environment. And now, after we finish discussing natural selection, we must discuss the last topic, adaptation. What is adaptation? Adaptation is the process by which organisms change over time in response to their environment in order to improve their chances of survival and reproduction. Adaptation can be behavioral, morphological, or physiological, and they enable organisms to better cope with the challenges of their environment, such as predation, disease, or climate change. Behavioral adaptations involve change in organisms' behavior in response to its environment. For example, birds may migrate to different areas to find food and breeding sites, or animals may adopt certain postures or behaviors to intimidate predators. Number 2. Morphological adaptations involve change in an organism's physical structure in response to its environment. For example, the long necks of giraffes allow them to reach high branches for food, and sharp claws of a predator enable to catch prey for more effectively. Number 2. Morphological adaptations. Number 3. Physiological adaptations involve changes in organism's internal system in response to its environment. For example, some desert animals conserve water by producing highly concentrated urine, or fish are able to live in extreme conditions by producing number 3 by producing anti-freeze proteins in their food. Adaptations can occur through the process of natural selection, where organisms with advantageous traits are more likely to survive and reproduce, passing on their advantageous trait to their offspring. Over time, these advantageous traits become more common in a population, resulting in the evolution of new species with different characteristics. In conclusion, we hope that our presentation has provided you with valuable insights and information about evolution. We would like to thank you for your time and attention, If you have any further questions or would like to continue our discussion, we are able to address them. Let us work together a better understanding and have a better future. Thank you.